Today's video is a reading of the sample piece that I've written for the 2023 GAT Section A writing task. And so the whole idea is that you have an understanding of what's expected of you with this task. I've done a video called the Section A Explainer that gives some further background. This is very specific to 2023. You can find all of this material online. What I'm using is the freely available 2023 GAT, which you can find by simply Googling that exact term. It'll take you to the VCAA webpage. I'm going to take you through what the material looks like, how we can use it, and then take a brief look at a piece that I have written. First thing that you will see, unfortunately there is some copyright material with the 2023 GAT, so I have just replaced it with a picture that I've put together in AI. It's a very simple sort of a picture, just wanted it there so that you still get a sense of how we use visual information. The visual in the in the part 2 section of this will be more important than this part 1 anyway. And as we can see here, the following notice was posted on the local community news webpage, okay, and it gives us just some really clear information. Council wants to install 2 new power benches, charging points, Wi-Fi connection for laptops, information on temperature, access to online games. The council wants to know if there's any support. And then that visual, I want to be really stressed, that's not the original visual. That's something that I've put in later. Not too different from what I remember the original picture being, but the idea is that it just provides you with a context. Okay, there's a world where a local council wants to see if people want these really high-tech benches. Let's see where it goes from there. The task is then put in really clear terms. As a frequent visitor to the park, so they are telling you who you are. They're saying you visit the park a lot. Write a short letter. So the purpose, and I've talked about this in the other video, it's really important that you meet the purpose of the piece. The short letter, there's your purpose. It's telling you the exact format. To post on the feedback page of the council's website. So they're giving you the audience too, of course. You are writing this to the council, feedback that's going to appear on a website. So you've got to be thinking about who would be reading that. Expressing your opinion whether the council should install the solar-powered smart benches. Okay, there we go. That's us. We've got 10 minutes to do this piece. We're making sure that we're going to communicate clearly that we are meeting these criteria as we go, particularly audience and purpose. Let's take a look at what I've written. To whom it may concern. As a ratepayer, I can think of a very long list of things that our money would be better spent on rather than these unnecessary solar-powered benches. First sentence, I've established who I am. I've shown that I'm writing to the suggested audience, or the prescribed audience, I should say, in the council, talking about the fact that I pay rates in their council, to their council. Okay, it's expressive. I can think of a long list of things that I would be better spent on. It's got good vocabulary. Unnecessary solar-powered benches. Okay, and my purpose is clear. I'm saying, yeah, we shouldn't be spending money on these. Let's see how it continues. The reasoning put forward by council seems naive, as if it was thought up by someone who thought that merely including words like Wi-Fi and solar means that these contraptions are futuristic. If people want to know what temperature it is, they'll stand around in the park and get a good sense. Failing that, they'll check for that very easily found number on their phones. The same applies for maps, which can also be made visible on a big sign, just like they have been in parks for decades. So a couple of things that lead to this being a successful piece in response to this material. Notice that there's 2 exclamation marks used. Now, we've got to be really careful here. I'm not saying just jam in exclamation marks. But if I'm writing in a really expressive way, if I'm expressing anger, or it's not even anger, a bit of disbelief, you're incredulous at the thought of, oh my gosh, why would we worry about this? Then that means that a tone is coming across and that I'm, speaking to this audience. Also means that I'm using punctuation. You can see the commas and the apostrophes. It's not about thinking, okay, I must use commas, I must use apostrophes, but rather thinking, am I writing sentences that have a structure where I need commas? Am I listing things, or am I, writing complex sentences that, are more expressive, and therefore I can show off my punctuation as well. That's how you need to be thinking with this task. First, be really clear, then add the decoration to it later and look to, be really expressive and so on. I appreciate that not every person in the area has steady access to charging points and Wi-Fi, but surely we could use the funding of these benches to properly resource the local library and community centre. So that's really meeting the vocabulary requirement there as well, isn't it? You know, funding for these benches to properly resource the local library. I wouldn't say that there's many people reading this that think, oh, I've never heard the word resource or, you know, funding and community and unsupervised. These aren't, you know, earth-shattering terms, but they're really precise terms that allow this meaning to become across as really clear. And that's all you need to be doing to show, you know, a wide range of vocabulary that helps you be expressive and really clear with what you're looking to say. An outdoor, unsupervised connection point seems like an invitation for vandals. I think we could do better, Billy Citizen. Really clearly wrapped up, really balanced in the way that we look at it there on the screen in terms of it's got a few ideas, it gets to them, it's only 10 minutes long, so it's not going to be massive. We move on to part 2 of this writing task. It stays within the world that has been created, and it says, following community feedback about the installation of solar-powered smart benches, the council posted an update on their community news webpage. All right, so there's a bit more material for us to get through here. We can see there that following positive feedback, these benches are going in. So obviously the piece I wrote wasn't too effective, but it then shows that they have some parts of the annual report that they want to highlight, showing what they as a council are looking to do. All right, they're looking to have healthy, connected communities. The way that they're going to do that is listed next to it. They want to have culturally rich and active communities. And so, you know, they're going to promote opportunities, as you can see there. The whole idea is that you take all of this information in, and then, of course, that you do something with it. What you are asked to do with it is listed here. Write a short opinion piece. Again, it's made really clear the format that your piece is to take for your local newspaper, in which you present your point of view about the removal of the barbecue area from the local park. So we've got our audience, we've got our purpose here. We've got to talk about our view of the removal. Give reasons for your point of view and refer to the information in the extract. So this is testing your reading ability and your ability to synthesize some of this information as well. You can't just go off and make up a whole bunch of reasons. You've got to talk about the information that was given there to you. So let's take a look at how I've gone with this. I've included a heading of moving on. You don't have to do that, but I know that if I have to write a piece where the purpose is going to be judged, having a title can sometimes be a great way of just reminding myself of what I'm looking to do as well. I wasn't initially taken by the introduction of the smart benches in our local park. However, I've come to appreciate that the council installed them to try and get our younger population involved with the local area, and I feel that they're achieving this. So if I'm maintaining that same persona I had before, it's going to be difficult for me to write a piece in favour of it when I'd already sort of said we shouldn't have them. But I've incorporated that in there at the start. I was like, look, I wasn't a fan originally, but now thinking about it and using the information that council put forward, this is where I can do a really good job with it. Unfortunately, with progress comes difficult decisions, and whilst the new benches are seemingly working out well, some community members are upset about the removal of the old barbecues. Getting towards the purpose, here we go, I'm building towards it. We need to move on. There's nothing wrong with having a really clear, short, simple sentence like that from time to time. Obviously, if the piece was only that, then, you know, it's going to be quite limited. But occasionally changing up, you know, the tone and the pace and having that clear sort of a thing can be a really good strategy in these more sort of, you know, persuasive sort of pieces. The old barbecues had seen better days, and I can't recall the last time I saw them being enjoyed by a group of parkgoers. We want our local community to be healthy, and providing hot plates with years of heart-clogging grease just isn't appropriate in this modern day. So you can see there how with that sentence I'm really looking to meet the criteria of not the criteria, but the requirement to use the information given to us. The information given to us was about healthy communities, and this is saying, hey, the park should be about being active, not about these greasy old barbecues. Already I've seen kids congregating at the benches and using their phones to explore the maps of the local area. This is a much healthier pursuit than standing around an old barbecue. Whether we like it or not, technology is a major part of our lives. I'm glad that the council has been able to work with the times and blend technology into our local outdoor areas. People getting a quick charge on their phone or using the Wi-Fi to save their data are more likely to feel connected to the park. So I've just used the language that was there in the material, and there's nothing wrong with that from time to time. You obviously don't want to be lifting entire phrases or full sentences and trying to pass them off as your own. But if the material is talking about council wanting community members to feel connected, I'm going to use that word too. Happier people in our parks who are feeling supported by their community sounds like a winning solution to me. Yes, it's a shame that those benches came at the expense of the old Barbies, but I think it's a positive step when we look at it holistically. Really like this sentence because it uses a really precise term in holistically, which I'd argue, is up there in terms of vocabulary and how precise and sophisticated it is as a term. But then it also uses the term Barbies because it's looking to, create a rapport with the audience, which is going to be local people thumbing through the paper. Vocabulary doesn't just mean one thing. We must make room for new and exciting opportunities. It's an unavoidable part of growing older. So here the ideas are really coming across. It's not just saying, don't worry about it, don't worry about it. It's saying, look, we have to move on. These are the ideas that are coming across in the writing. There was something that existed before the old barbecue area was built, and we'll learn to love and appreciate the new facilities as they become a part of our community. I'm glad to have a council that looks ahead and makes the tough decisions. Billy Citizen. And so there we have it, the part 2 that goes along with the part 1 and looks to meet all of those 7 criteria that we mentioned before. As I mentioned earlier, I'd encourage you to look at the other videos that give a bit of an explainer of what part A is. And before the GAT for your particular year, take a look through the previous writing tasks so that you can get a sense of how it's assessed each year so that you can walk in for your GAT and sit down knowing that you've got the broad understanding of what you're going to be expected to do. All the best.